We're live? We're live. I think. Check something real quick. Okay, we're live. Looks like it anyway. What's up, guys? It's been so long since I went live on the channel. If you're showing up, say what's up in the comments and ask some questions. Answer some questions, and we'll go over the next hour or so and talk about food plots, hunting, land management, anything you guys want. So, also, if you guys are new, looks like there's somebody new here. What's up, buddy? We'll get rolling. I think it's been 6-7 months or so since I've actually went live. Can you guys hear me okay? Or am I talking to myself? I know sometimes I have audio issues because this whole sophisticated thing here when I was taking live phone calls. So if you guys can hear me, just let me know real quick. Oh, wait, no, I'm not talking to myself. Okay. So everybody can hear me. What's up, buddy? Hunting stuff with J&J. We got Thomas. Sounds good. Perfect. All right, we got a bunch of people in here now, so welcome to the channel, guys. We got Corey. What's up, buddy? We got Ohio. We got Joe. Perfect. So we're live and audio is good. Boys Outdoors. We got, what's up, Dave? What's up, buddy? So we'll go over the next hour or so and just talk about stuff, hunting and food plots, and I'll kind of run over some plans that I have going on. And if you guys have any specific questions about food plots, land management, anything really, just fire away and we'll get to answering your questions. And like I said, it's been a while since I've done one of these, and I posted today in the community tab about starting a podcast, and I really would like to start a podcast. And I posted on there, and everybody that was on there said yes, do it. And the podcast is going to be just like this. It's going to be pre-recorded, and it'll be on video format for YouTube, and then it'll be uploaded to all the other platforms, which I'm trying to figure out now. I guess it'll be like the Apple podcasts and Spotify and different platforms through there. So I'm working on all that, and I have a audio intro coming into it that's being worked on now, just for like an introduction type thing. So that's all coming together, and I would say in the next 3 to 4 weeks I'll start the podcast, and I'll let you guys know. It'll obviously be on YouTube, and it'll be on all the other platforms as well. So just working on that, getting that gearing up. Something I always wanted to do. I kind of did it, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, just through an app on my phone. I uploaded some podcasts, but I didn't really take it serious. So now I actually want to take it serious, make a legit podcast, and go with it. It's just a different angle, other than uploading, specific, videos through YouTube. Now it can be in audio form, people can listen to. Because I know sometimes when I'm driving down the road, I just throw on a podcast or something, or if I'm if I'm working or whatever it is, I'll throw an earbud in and I'll just start listening to a podcast. So I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, we'll get that started here in a few weeks, and hopefully it turns out pretty good. So today I actually was able to get out my implements for my for food plots. Got the Ferminator out today, had it all stored away for the winter, and pulled that out today. And Went through the whole maintenance cycle on it, geared up or greased up the bearings and lubed up the C channels in it, and one of the tires was low, so I got that pumped up, and so that's ready to go. Cleaned it up a little bit, took it for a little ride on the four wheeler, pulled it around a little bit, and it's working good, ready to go. This coming Saturday, we're getting to planting our food plots. Me and Zach going up to the property, and we're going to be planting our food plots. And I made a few videos about this, but our new property that I gathered is in ag country, so there's tons of ag around, and in that type of situation, majority of times you really don't need to plant a spring and summer food plot to feed the deer, because one, you're just wasting your money. Let the soybeans and stuff feed the deer. I mean, you can always do it, but it's just not really necessary. So in this case, it's a brand new property, brand new ground. We were able to take some field away from the farmer to allow us to plant the food plots. So we're coming in next weekend, and we're just planting specifically a blend just to kind of prevent weeds and improve the soil leading into our fall food plot. And that's we're just planting Domain Outdoors overhaul. We're planting that in there, both sides of the road, and we're going to screen it in with Egyptian wheat incognito, and that will lead us into our fall plot, and then we can go from there. So that's kind of our food plot strategy for that. There's beans and corn. Obviously, they'll be cut, sometime in October, most likely. So those beans all summer is going to feed the deer. Then our fall food plots will come in, feed the deer through the winter, and then I'm adding winter wheat to that as well. So we'll be filling that gap between spring green up and then next year when the beans come in, that winter wheat in those plots be about roughly almost an acre. We'll be able to fill that gap between wintertime and spring green up. So there'll always be food there. And that's what part of the thing that the property is really lacking. Other than that, the property is pretty diverse with different features. So we're just mainly just trying to fill that gap for leading into next year. So that's our strategy for that. Jeremy, oh yeah, Dave, look forward to it. Awesome, man. Why not? Hey there, from northern Idaho. I don't get too many people from Idaho. What's up, buddy? Archery only. Looking forward to the podcast. Awesome. Thank you. Jeremy, same here in PA for me, Dave. Awesome, Jeremy. Great. There he is. Farm All Fanatic. What's up, buddy? Farm All. How's it going? Long time to talk as well. Mike, thumbs up. What's up, buddy? So that's our food plot strategy for this year, for our property in Pennsylvania. We also have the property in Kentucky with Jeff. We're planting some beans there, and then there'll be late planted beans. So therefore, because Kentucky, the season starts super early in September. It's like I think it's the 3rd of September. So we're planting late soybeans. So therefore, when we're actually hunting, we actually have green soybeans instead of planting them early season, early in the fall, spring. By the time hunting season rolls around, they're starting to turn and they become unpalatable. So we're just planting those late beans sometime in July, and hopefully have a drought, and that way them beans are nice and green and tender, come hunting season. And this, let's see. Oh, I'm tangled up. This buck here, I can't really see it, but this buck here is the buck I shot last year in Kentucky. Scored 162. It's a beast of a buck. So that property has produced very well for us. Past couple of years, Jeff I had already shot 2 nice bucks off of there. The first year, he shot a really, it was real tall and had massive amounts of mass to it. And he shot that the first year. Second year, I shot this one, and he shot a buck that was actually in velvet. And that's the cool thing with Kentucky is you do have that chance for a velvet buck, and really here in Maryland, you have a chance as well with a velvet buck. You know, it can happen that people. It happens every year, but the season here used used to start for years when I was a kid. Growing up and hunting, it was September 15th here, and by that time, the chances of shooting a velvet buck was pretty slim. But I'd say over the past 10 years, maybe more, they moved that September 15th date back, I believe, to September 9th, or may even be the 7th. And with the 7th, you have a really good chance of shooting a velvet buck here in Maryland. People do it all the time. I have yet to shoot a velvet buck, and some people, don't even really care about it. I don't really either, but I feel like sometime in my life, I'd like to shoot a velvet buck at some point. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. Boys outdoors, should I feed corn during the summer months in Tennessee? I mean, you can. It's not going to hurt anything for the most part. I necessarily don't like feeding corn, but corn is a good attraction. I wouldn't, if you're doing it for the health of the deer, I would not feed corn because corn is not very beneficial, nutritious wise to the deer. And I believe that corn will actually premature, rot their teeth out. It wears their teeth down, faster. Um, but if you're doing it for, trail camera pictures or something like that, it's good. I don't know when Tennessee deer season starts, but I mean, if you're doing it for the attractability part, you know, really nothing beats corn. But it really depends. I mean, if you're in an area that is big woods and there's no food around and you're trying to give them something, then, corn can do okay. Just really depends. I'm just not huge on feeding corn, but if, if you want to, that it's not a terrible thing for sure. Me too. Always thought it'd be cool to have a velvet buck. Yeah, Jeremy, for sure. I wish I could upload or show a picture on here, but Jeff, man, he shot a really. I mean, I can pull it up on my phone. He shot a really um, good velvet buck last year um, in September. I think it was opening day. It might have been the second day of the season. He wasn't. He was in a ground blind, and he wasn't in there very long. And and he shot a velvet. Let's see if I can pull up the picture here real quick. It's on my phone. I got so many pictures on here. Getting close. Okay, so it's before that, before there. All right, so this is, let's see. I don't know if you guys can see. That's that buck here, right there, and then which wasn't velvet. I shot mine like the fourth or fifth day of the season, and then this here is Jeff's buck. I don't know if you guys can see. Oh. Come on. There you go. That's Jeff's buck there. That was a velvet buck he shot. Um, that was a cool deer. Good friend. That's awesome. So those velvet chances, as the season obviously goes on, the chance of getting one, drastically goes down. But the strategy out there in Kentucky is we, in for bow season, early season like that, we do not hunt mornings. The biggest issue with hunting on a piece of property is constantly pushing deer out. So there do not um, we do not hunt mornings because the way that property is set up, to try to get into that property, finagle around through there, it's virtually impossible to hunt mornings. So, and we don't even penetrate the woods. So they have these little draws and fingers that go up, on these ridges, and we have food plots on those ridges. And so we come in down the bottom and we work our way around the edges and then come in, and we're just hunting the edge of the property, and the woods just goes back for hundreds of acres. I think on that side of the road is 150 acres, but it connects to giant woods. So we do not penetrate the woods. We never go in there. Never. Only time we go in there is if we shoot a deer. So we're drawing the deer out from the woods into these fingers, into the pastures and into the food plots. So early season like that, when there's no pressure, you can catch them on that food to bedding pattern, which is pretty, it's pretty common strategy for early season. But we do not hunt mornings. We hunt the afternoons. And I think mine was the fourth or fifth day of the season. I hunted every evening, and we knew this buck was there from trail camera, but I hunted the area that he was in, and good winds and everything. We get in there, 4 o'clock or so in the afternoon, and I would set up, and I didn't see him until the fourth day. But it was really hot, and I had deer, constantly moving each day. Just I did not see this buck. The fourth day, it was a storm that came in, and it was raining. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was hot and humid, and this rain came in around, I think it was 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And we just waited it out, and I kept looking at the radar on my phone, and I saw right around 4 p.m. that the storm was moving out and it was going to stop raining. So I literally got in my stand around 4 p.m. It was still drizzling a little bit. Got set up, got quiet, and the buck came in, obviously, or it came in an area where I didn't expect it down. It was actually downwind of me, and it circled around in front of me with another buck that I never saw before. And when it came out in front of me, it came out into the food plot thing, cut up this way, and my stand's facing this way. He was over here, so I was actually able to stand up and shoot. I think it was about 20 yards or so, 22 yards, something like that. And it ran into the woods about maybe 50 yards, went down this huge hill down into a creek. And this ridge was so steep, we couldn't pull the deer out. So we went back. Jeff got the buggy, came back in, and being that it was raining all day, the leaves were really wet, and the buggy was like sliding, and Jeff had his foot. It was kind of like half on the step of the buggy, half in the buggy, and then half out. And when we slid, he smacked his foot against a tree, and it was bad. Ripped toenails off his foot, and everything like that. We had to actually take a winch down to the bottom, and we tied it around the deer and winched it back up, and then we were actually able to pick it up into the buggy. But yeah, Jeff broke a couple toes on that trip. Still fun though. So that's the strategy for that. We do not hunt mornings on that property. It's physically impossible. If we were to hunt mornings, we just blow the deer out, and you would ruin your chances, for the afternoon hunt. And within a week or something, 10 days, the property is just going to be dead, just from constantly pushing the deer. I mean, you might see some does or something like that, but those bigger bucks just can't handle the pressure. And another example of that is this buck here. This buck here scored 185 inches, and it was actually the very first deer I ever shot. And it was in an area where nobody hunted, and nobody hunted the area. Nobody went into the woods or anything. I had 2 acres, and there was a apple tree and a persimmon tree. The deer would past the apple tree to get to the persimmon tree. So that's a tip. If you are planting fruit trees on your property, plant persimmons. I would constantly watch deer pass apple trees, go to this persimmon tree. It was shotgun season, and I ended up shooting that buck there. But it came out into daylight, and after that, though, the entire area, neighborhood, county, state found out that I shot that buck, and next thing you know, within a week, 2 weeks, a year later, everybody started hammering that woods, and you just did not see any deer because of all the pressure that they put on it. And I would say that area probably had, I know for a fact I saw a buck bigger than that, and this buck scored 185 inches, and there was a bigger one there. So I don't know. I know multiple people within that area, over those next 2, 3, 4 years, shot giant bucks. After that, it's all been downhill. But there was giant, giant bucks in that area at one point. So it just goes to show you, you know, and I've made several videos about this in the past. You can't um, you can't shoot what's not there. So if you're in an area where everybody's shooting everything, um, it just it's not going to be possible. When your neighbors are shooting everything, and that's up to them. You can't control um, what they do. You can only control what you do, and it depends what your goals are as well. So I don't need to shoot that deer. I don't need to shoot this deer. It's just what was there. We knew it was there, and we were hunting that specific deer. I'd be happy to shoot a younger deer, a decent buck, or whatever excites me. When I was a kid, I got all kinds of European mounts over there. When I was a kid, I would shoot, you know, 6 pointers, small 8 pointers, because they pumped me up. And as I got older, I've been hunting for whatever, it's been 25 years, I think. As I've gotten older, the little ones, just don't excite me as much. They excite me. My heart starts racing, and I start shaking a little bit on the littler bucks, but it just doesn't excite me to the point to where I want to shoot them. And each year, I want to shoot a bigger buck, but it's whatever excites me. It could be a decent 8 pointer excites me, but it also depends what area you're in. Like I said, you can't shoot what's not there. So each area is going to have the ability to produce a different quality of deer. And I get a lot of questions about this too. They get like almost sad or disappointed because they can't shoot a bigger buck, and a lot of times it's not their fault. It's just that buck is not there. You can't shoot what's not there. And when I go to, especially this past year, when I went to all the clients for consulting, I go to certain areas, especially I get a lot of them in PA. I went to like 10 of them this year in PA, but I get questions like, "Oh, I want to shoot this 180-inch deer." I'm like, "Hold on. First of all, we're in Pennsylvania. It's just not going to happen for the most part of things. It's just not going to happen. Second, you have to have realistic goals, and what surrounds your property. And after walking the property and coming up with stuff in the plan, and talking to the landowners, and whoever else is there, they realize they have to have certain expectations and goals. And sometimes what you see on TV and different states, it's just not reality in your area. Everything's going to be different. A buck in PA is going to be different than a buck in Ohio, or a buck in Ohio is going to be different than Kentucky. A buck in Kentucky is different than a buck in Ohio, or like Illinois or Iowa or something like that. So it's all just basically relative to the area. Me too, Dave. That's what it's all about, buddy. Gotta run. See you next time. Keep up the great work. All right, Jeremy. Sounds good, buddy. See you on that next one. Let's see. Anybody have any questions? Fire away. So for the new people that came in, like I said, in 3 to 4 weeks, we're gonna fire up this podcast and get it out to Spotify or Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It'll be on YouTube and all that stuff. So this Saturday, like I said, we're planting food plots. We're going up Saturday morning. We're gonna plant throughout the day, and then we're gonna plant that soil builder blend, and then work on. We got a little bit more travel quarters to work on, and then I would say in the next month and a half, be hanging all our tree stands. Once we get those done, it's pretty much just let it sit, let it go, just let them do their thing. And once we get that going, once they're doing their thing, we'll come back sometime, probably third week of August, and plant our fall food plot. And then once that's planted, we'll let that go until opening day of deer season, and we let it rock. We'll come in there and see what's up. But we're getting pretty good pictures as of now. Get a lot of deer coming in and using the trails and stuff that we put in. And actually, a little while ago, I'll show you on the camera. We had the first. Here it is. Here we had the first fawn on the property. You guys can see. It's on the other side, but yeah, got the first fawn there. That was today. Probably looking at it, probably a couple days old. So that's pretty cool to see that first one. Over there, it's a different world, man. It's like it's cold. It's like always cold. It's just different over there compared to here. D-Sturdy, Canada in the house. What's up, man? What's the temperature in Canada today? 50s, 60s? I've only been to Canada once. Or once? No, twice actually. I was in Nova Scotia, hunting one time, and then I was in Montreal about 10 years ago. I was in Montreal, and then 6, 7 years ago, I was in Nova Scotia. Cool area. Minus the mosquitoes and bugs. Absolutely horrible. We had thermocells, and they didn't do anything. It almost felt like they attracted them. I had one, and it didn't do anything. So we actually had to drive to Walmart, which was like an hour away, and I ended up buying like one of the round ones, the bigger ones. So I had 2 of them in the stand, and it still didn't do anything. And then the camp that we stayed in, the cabin, I mean, if you opened the door up, you had to like close it super fast because mosquitoes would get inside. I remember the owners had a electronic fly swatter and electronic bug zapper, and they were just walking through the camp, just waving this thing, zip, 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 zip. I mean, just killing the mosquitoes. It was horrible. $18. Holy cow! He's in Ontario. 18 degrees. That's crazy. Travis, mow, roll, or spray the cereal grains this time of year? I mean, you can do any one of those. I'm not a huge fan of rolling or crimping or spraying. Never made sense to me why you would plant something green and growing and then spray it with a chemical to kill it. You can mow cereal grains, but you have to wait. If you try to mow it when it's young, you have to mow that probably several times for it to die off. Um, if you wait until it gets taller and it starts getting into um, the dough stage where it starts to produce seed heads, if you mow it then, you can kill it that way. Um, I've done that a lot of times. I did it last year, and it was I had winter wheat growing from the following fall, and I think it was end of May, early June. It was probably, I have a video on YouTube about it, but it was probably every bit of 4 feet tall, and it was just starting to produce that like white milky substance for the seeds. And I ended up mowing it one time with a pull behind ATV mower, and it killed it off. But if you mow that too early, um, you have to do it several times. Now, if you rolling isn't going to do anything unless you spray it. If you have a crimper, then a crimper will work, but then you still have to wait for that good time frame to where it's in that dough stage for the crimper to actually kill it. So either way, whether you roll it or spray, you know, you can't just roll it without spraying. So I'm just a fan of mowing it. Um, Even better, mow it and till it back in, disc it back in till whatever you have. Um, but yeah, you can do either one. Either one of those will work, Travis. So this property that we have, this new property, here we go. What's this? What's your favorite food to plant? That's kind of hard to answer. Depends if it's for the fall or for the spring or summer, and it also depends on the property. Probably my favorite thing to plant for the fall is going to be cereal greens. Reason being is they can't be overbrowsed. A deer's not going to wipe out cereal grains. If deer are wiping out cereal grains, you just have too many deer because it's hard to wipe out, a winter wheat plot or a rye plot or something like that, because wheat and rye is kind of like your lawn. If you mow it, it just continues to grow. So the deer are your lawnmower. So the deer in there, eating it, cutting it down low, it's just going to keep producing up until you get frosts, and then it's going to set it back, and it's going to go dormant throughout that winter time. But then in the spring, it's going to be your first thing that greens up. So it can provide whatever it is, I guess, depending on what state you're in, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of additional food before spring green up. So I would say that's probably my favorite thing to plant is winter wheat, because it can keep up with that browse pressure. It feeds the deer. It's pretty nutritious, and it's pretty much fail safe, fail proof. You can't really mess it up. You can broadcast it on top of the soil. It'll grow and provide a lot of tonnage per acre. And like I said, you fill that, and we're planting that this year too, but it fills that gap between wintertime and spring green up. Once spring green up hits, it's like clockwork. The deer will literally just stop hitting the wheat, and they'll just focus on the browse coming up, because it's all that tender, fresh growth. And it also depends what stage the wheat is in, because once it gets a certain height, if the deer aren't eating it, keeping it low, once it gets a certain height, it just becomes unpalatable, and the deer will just leave it alone because it's just not palatable to them anymore. So they'll focus on that on the browse that's coming up, which is a very good thing. That's why it's very important to have that on your property. Blanchard's Bees, what's up, buddy? Greetings from Southwest Iowa, swinging into smash that like. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing good. My favorite thing to plant, I would say, for the spring, in summer is, in some cases, it's going to be soybeans. In other cases, it's going to probably be something like clovers. I mean, you really can't beat clovers. Clovers produce a lot of tonnage per acre, and deer love it. Travis, I really don't do the 3-round, those sprays that's going around on YouTube. Appreciate the help. Yeah, 3 rounds of spraying. That's a lot of spraying. um, that's a lot of chemical use. I'm not against chemicals. I use them sometimes, and to be honest with you, I use them this year. We had this new piece of ground where the farmer, see, this is where you mess yourself up. People get confused, and people try to make it overcomplicated. The whole point, this could be your whole point, is you set yourself up, right, for success. And how to do that is, for instance, on this new property, okay, the ground, the soil is, I did a soil sample on it. It's not the greatest. It's not the worst. pH was a smidge low. Nutrients were lackluster. And the farmer has been doing no-till for, I think he said, 7 years. Okay, but he's not using cover crops. So when he comes in and harvests this corn and beans every fall, that ground is bare. You have nothing working for you. So all winter long, that ground is bare. There's nothing covering it. You have erosion, and you have nothing, green and growing that's in that soil leading into the spring. So in the spring, as we saw, that entire field was a complete weed factory. I mean, there was weeds growing. I didn't even know what some of them were. I mean, there were so many weeds growing in there. So then the farmer has to come in and spray the chemicals and do this and do that and do this. And where our food plots are is kind of butted up against the woods, because that's where we wanted them at, and that's what the farmer allowed us to plant. I sprayed it. I sprayed it with glyphosate and 2,4-D, because there was all kinds of smartweed, and there was just tons of grasses, and I mean, it was a weedy mess. So usually in new ground, if you get a piece of new ground where you're planting food plots in, that very first time when you go to plant, I always like to spray. You start fresh, clean slate, and this is how you set yourself up. You spray that one time, you get rid of what's there. You go to plant, if you're planting, a spring and summer plot, such as an annual, okay? If you're using annuals, you just till those back into the ground, and leading into the fall, whatever's there from your food plot that you planted your annual in, you till that back in, right? Because at that time of year, your weeds and stuff are going dormant. You till that back into the ground, you plant your fall food plot with cereal grains. That'll feed deer all fall, all winter. First thing it greens up in the spring. Those cereal grains prevent 95% of any kind of weed that's going to grow in the springtime. So you eliminate the use of chemicals. So this whole 3 rounds spraying that's going around, as Travis says, going around on YouTube, is insane, because the cost of those chemicals and just, I mean, who wants to spray chemicals 3 times a year? It's I don't know, it just blows my mind. Roger, hello from Michigan. What herbicide or technique would you use Balance clover to get that field ready for a fall brassica planting. Um, IMOX works on clover food plots. I've used IMOX a few times. Um, IMOX is a good herbicide to use. I'm not an expert on herbicides. I don't use them a lot. I mean, I use the basic stuff with glyphosate and 2,4-D, and like I said, I use the IMOX. I had a clover food plot um, past 2-3 years that I maintained, and I sprayed it one time with IMOX and rarely had any more weeds after that because I had a thick stand of clover and I'd frost seed it every year. There was no bare spots. It shaded out the weeds, smothered them out. Um, I sprayed one time, and after that, I was able to maintain that with just mowing. I'd wait till the clover gets up to a seed head, starts producing its seeds, go through, mow it, and probably early spring, sometime the end of May, early June, and you mow that once, and then you do it again sometime around, I would say, August, mid-August, end of August, and then you're good to go. So um, IMOX works very good for that because it'll handle the broadleaves, but it'll also handle the grasses as well. I can't remember how much it was, but it's only I think 7 to 9 ounces per acre. You can do that in 20-25 gallons of water on an acre, and you're pretty good to go. They should handle. But the whole trick with the IMOX too is getting them when they're young. Really, that's with any herbicide as well. The sooner you can get them, within that under a foot tall, the easier it is for you to kill them. If you wait till it's like 2, 3, 4 feet tall, you're going to have your kill ratio to that is going to be pretty poor just because they just become tougher to kill. But really, I mean, if you're doing, like I said, that first round in brand new plot, if you're doing glyphosate 2,4-D, that's a death mix. I mean, it pretty much kills everything that it touches. So now there was that property I just described, the new property, we sprayed that one time. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago today, or yesterday. 2 weeks ago yesterday. I can tell from my reveal cell cams that there was actually some plants in there that did not die, and either didn't die or they came back. But plants can become resistant to this stuff. Especially when you're spraying 2, 3, 4 times a year. It's just if you have something in there growing, green and growing year round, then you don't have that issue. Josh, what's up, Josh? I ain't heard from you in a while. Josh is working. We're from northern New York. What would you do? What would you do on a very wet year on heavy clay soil that you are having trouble getting equipment on? Very wet year on heavy clay soil. I mean, you could, in that situation, obviously, if it's a wet year, I mean, you can't help that part. But there is, I actually recommended this to a client that I went to this past winter. Um, it's a product that I can't even remember the name of. I used it a couple times. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's on. I think the brand is Killer Food Plots. They sell this product. I have zero affiliation with them. They have this product that it's like a desiccant bead. I think it's like organic. I don't know how it's made, but if you broadcast that into wet soils, and it literally soaks up the water. I had a client. It was in Was that in Maryland? I think it was Maryland. And we had a low area on his property, but it was a perfect spot for a food plot. And you can go at it with 3 different rates. And, the low rate is whatever it is, just say 6 pounds per acre. Then you go to like 12 pounds per acre and then maybe like 18 pounds per acre. He went the heaviest rate into that. And he actually called me like a month later. He's like, dude, it literally soaked up the water. And I was able to, you know, it was able to dry out enough for me to plant my food plot. Um, it's fairly inexpensive too. It's like $24, or no, it's a little bit more than that. It might be like 40 some dollars per acre, but it works very well. I used it years ago. It's some wet soils, but it works great. Zach Yesser in the house. What's up, buddy? Hope you're checking your phone, man. You got Zach's on the property with me here, but we're getting pictures here on the one spot there. Zach gets them as well. We're on the same plan for the cell cams, but we're getting them. Travis Smith, let Roger know 24DB, also known as Butyrac 200, great for, yeah. If you get to 24DB, like Travis said, that'll take care of that. That's safe for clover. You can actually spray glyphosate, regular glyphosate, on clover as well at a low rate, and it won't hurt the clover. Clover's pretty tough to kill. I've hit that stuff with everything, and it's hard to kill clover. So if you go at a low rate with the glyphosate, you can spray it on top of clover, and it will not hurt it. It'll get the grasses, and it just won't hurt that clover, man. It's tough to kill. It really is. Zach, always. I gotta check the other one too. But yeah, I put a cell cam in this thicket, and this doe here, I don't know if you guys can see, there's this doe right there. She's in the same spot every day, same time. And if you can see her on the picture, she's pregnant, which is, it's getting kind of late, to still be pregnant. But I think she's in there because it's so thick. She's looking in there, to have her fawns. So, but it's pretty cool just to see her because she's in there every day, all day long, same time, every day. And like I said, we just had the first picture today of a fawn. They'll only look like a couple days old, so that's pretty cool. 1 quart per acre, 24-gallon sprayer is what I use on clover, and it works great. Yeah, like I said, glyphosate works on that. You can spray it on clover. A lot of people don't know that, but just low dose, and you'll be good to go. It will not hurt it. Josh, going to spray my second round of antler grill and NPK next week on my second round of buckwheat. It's already up 8 inches or so. Perfect. Josh is down there in Georgia. He's already on his second round of buckwheat, which is pretty cool. He can get away with probably 2-3 plantings of buckwheat down there, maybe even 4 if he really wanted to. But we're just now planting here Saturday. We're going up Saturday to plant our plot, and I'll obviously spray that, but it's only going to be in there for 8 weeks or so, 7 weeks. But I'll actually spray that as well with the antler grown NPK, and then we'll get our fall food plot in there with some brassicas and some clover and some cereal grains, winter wheat. Like I said, that way we're filling that gap, between winter and spring green up for the springtime. So hope you're ready, Zach, to plant some plots. We got some work we're going to be doing, some chainsaw work here. We're kind of, you know, a little late on the chainsaw work, but it's just working on travel routes. We're not like cutting in, bedding areas or nothing like that. It's just some travel areas that we have to clean up. This property is pretty unique because we have the ag fields, and then you have the woods, but there's a lot of terrain in the woods, and as soon as you get to the wood line, it drops down through this ridge system, and these deer are traveling this ridge system, so it's perfect for a morning setup. And actually, majority of our pictures on that ridge system, since we kind of cleaned it up a little bit, has been morning time. So obviously that's going to change once the season hits. It's all going to kind of change anyway. But these deer are establishing a pattern, and usually that pattern will stay consistent throughout the year. It'll change a little bit, but as long as that food is there, they will still kind of stay on that pattern. Now, if you wipe your food out, and you don't have any browse or nothing like that, then they'll just go, elsewhere wherever the food is. But perfect morning stand setups. I mean, there's going to be 4 or 5 stands set up on that ridge, a couple water holes going in, and then next year we'll work on a little bit more bedding areas and strategic bedding areas, and just keep working it. Working the soil, and we've already put some lime on it, and it was, like I said, it wasn't the worst soil, wasn't the greatest. It was kind of in the middle. pH was a smidge low. Nutrient levels were, they were okay, lackluster a little bit, but we'll work on it and bring it up. And that way, in that area, we have the most palatable food source, because we know that our soil is given it to the plants, and the deer, they can tell the difference. What's up, Belinda? Have you ever used clethodim to kill grass in a clover plot? I personally never used clethodim. I've never used it. I know people that have. Works well. The thing that I'm pretty familiar with clover plot for chemical is IMOX. I was turned on to that maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and IMOX it really works pretty good, because it will get the grasses and the broadleaves. And usually, if you just do it one time, you're good to go, and it'll eliminate a lot of springs. And I actually still have some in the garage that I have left over from last year, and I don't need it this year, but it'll still be good for the following year if I ever need it, for a similar situation. But IMOX works very well. But no, I've never used clethodim. Zach, sir, this weekend can't come sooner. I'm pumped. Exciting times, exciting times. We're still getting pictures as we sit here. We have one camera that's whacking out. It's being goofy. So yeah, you guys got any follow-up questions or anything? Probably go here for another few minutes. Adam, hey guys, I have a question. I have Indian hemp growing out of control in my plot. How can I control it? Adam, I'm not familiar with that. I would say just to Google search that. I'm not familiar with that to give you advice for it. My guess is glyphosate 2,4-D would probably handle it. But I don't know what you have in your plot. What do you have planted in your food plot? That would kind of help a little bit. Do you have clover, or what you got going on? I think I got everybody's question here. Travis. Stan, Mike. Yeah, hey everybody. So, if you guys have any more questions, real quick, fire away. And here we go. Starting tradition outdoors. You said to use IMOX. Where can you get it, and what is the mix ratio? That I can help you with. If you just Google search IMOX, there's several websites that you can buy it from. You don't need a whole lot. It's 6 to 8 ounces of IMOX mixed into 20 to 25 gallons of water per acre. 6 to 8 ounces of IMOX in 20 to 25 gallons of water per acre. You have to spray when the grasses and broadleaves are fairly young. That's the key with IMOX. Some people will say you can add a like a crop oil to it or something, but I've never had to do that, and I've had a good good kill with it. Just hit them when they're young, and that should take care of everything in there. Wait about 2 weeks or so, and you can come back through and just mow it. And that's what I've done with my clover plots for several years now. And hit it once with the IMOX, mow it, you're good to go. The following year, frost seed some clover in there, so you have a thick stand. And the thicker the stand, the less weeds and grasses that you'll have, because the clover will shade it out. That's the whole thing with that. Just because you have a clover plot, it always helps to frost seed into that, just to keep it thick. And another thing too is when you mow, wait till those clovers get to seed head. That's nature's way of reproducing. So the clovers, get tall enough, they'll start producing seed heads, and then when you mow, you kind of let it seed itself, so it'll kind of fill in a little bit. But frost seeding is always a good thing too. So just to keep that stand thick, and you can get many years out of a clover. I mean, you really can't beat clover for just an all around good food source. Hopefully that helps you with the IMOX. 6 to 8 ounces in 20 to 25 gallons of water per acre. All right, guys. We've been on here an hour, so I'm gonna hop off, and I gotta get some other stuff done. But thanks for joining in. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been on here live, so thanks for joining in, and subscribe if you guys are new. I'll see you on the next video. Later.